Did you know that one homeowner can spark a full-blown community revolution just by building a wall? That's exactly what happened when my HOA banned my fence. Where are you from? Drop your location in the comments. We love to see where our stories are reaching every corner of the world. I was finally ready to reclaim my backyard. Peaceful evenings with a fence for privacy were just a few days away. As I stood in my backyard, imagining my new peaceful sanctuary, I received the dreaded letter. No fences are allowed in the neighborhood. How could they? This was my space. I felt frustration boiling inside me, but I didn't want to back down. Determined, I started researching how I could work around the HOA's petty rules. I won't let them dictate my life. It was time to get creative and show them that I wouldn't be silenced. The ideas began to tumble in my head. I sketched out a massive wall that would not only give me privacy but also serve as a giant middle finger to the HOA. As I sketched, I felt a rush of excitement. Then I ran into my neighbor, Jim, the HOA board member, and he seemed suspicious. "What are you up to?" he asked with a raised eyebrow. My heart raced. "Just some landscaping ideas." I lied, but I knew that I had to keep my plans under wraps. This wall would be my secret rebellion. With my plan in motion, I took off on a mission to gather materials. I scoured local hardware stores, eyeing bricks and tools, but the prices made my heart sink. How was I going to afford this? I started rummaging through my garage and found some old bricks from a previous project. Those would help. Then, I had a brilliant idea. A garage sale to raise some cash. I set my date, and anticipation grew. I could almost feel the thrill of finally winning this battle against the HOA. The garage sale day arrived, and surprisingly, my neighbors were eager to browse through my old treasures. "What's this?" one asked, holding up a rusty tool. I laughed, but inside, I was nervous. "Making some extra cash for my garden," I replied. As I sold the last item, I counted up my earnings. Enough to kick off my wall construction. Suddenly, I felt like a rebellious hero. My neighbors showed genuine interest, and I could sense I was starting to rally support. My wall was becoming a community affair. With cash in hand, I began building. I was so energized. Laying the first few bricks was like a triumphant victory. But then, out of nowhere, I heard my next-door neighbor, Linda, gossiping with another neighbor. "Did you hear about what she's doing?" she said, her voice dripping with judgment. My heart dropped. Fearing I'd attract too much attention, I quickly covered my progress with a tarp. This wall was supposed to be my sanctuary, not a public spectacle. I needed more allies to embrace this rebellious journey with me. I thought hard about how to win the neighbors' support. That's when the idea hit me. Let's hold a wall watch party. I sent out invitations filled with excitement. Join me for an evening of food and fun. The night of the party arrived, and I was pleasantly surprised at the turnout. Neighbors mingled, sipping drinks and laughing. "What's behind that tarp?" someone asked with curiosity. I grinned slyly. "You'll have to come and see." I could feel the energy of rebellion in the air. This wall was starting to become not just my fight, but our fight. The enthusiasm from the party sparked a wave of support. Conversations flourished around the idea of the wall, but then I heard murmurs of dissent. One voice was loud and clear. "We can't go against the HOA." My heart raced. But why? It's our community too. I tried to defend our cause, but concerns hung heavily. "What if they fine us?" a neighbor said, worry etched on their face. I knew I had to rally everyone. "Let's make this a community project. Together we're stronger," I proposed, and slowly but surely, those unsure hearts began to beat with courage. My neighbor Carla, who had once worked as an architect, stepped forward. "I can help with the design," she said, and I felt a surge of hope. But then, out of nowhere, Mr. Thompson, the HOA's enforcer, appeared on the scene. "You're planning to build that wall? I won't let it happen." His words were like ice, but I held my ground. I could feel the stakes rising. "I'm not backing down," I declared defiantly. Maybe it was time to overhaul my strategy and make my wall a communal symbol. It seemed like an uphill battle, but I refused to let fear dictate my bolden dream. With renewed energy and Carla's plans in hand, we gathered at another community meeting. The excitement was palpable. I presented our proposal with conviction, only to face a barrage of opposition. "You can't just bend the rules," someone yelled. "What about property values?" another chimed in. Tension rippled through the room, but I wasn't backing down. I appealed to their sense of freedom. "This isn't just about a wall. It's about our rights," I said with passion. But just as I thought we were gaining momentum, the HOA's attorney arrived, instantly cranking up the stakes. Would we really fight the mighty HOA? With my wall construction underway, excitement coursed through me. But just as I was laying the last brick for the day, I heard a loud crash. My friend, Mike, tripped, and a section of my wall collapsed in a heap of dust and debris. Panic set in. "What did you do?" I shouted, my heart racing. He looked horrified and quickly helped me scoop up fallen bricks. Just then, I noticed a neighbor peering through their window. We had to be more careful. This wall was my statement of defiance, and I couldn't afford a slip-up now. After repairing the damage, I realized it was time to disguise my progress. I rapidly devised a plan to camouflage the wall with tall hedges. I headed to the nursery, excitedly picking out the tallest plants I could find. But on my way back, Linda from next door caught me. "What are you up to?" she asked suspiciously. I forced a grin and said, "Just sprucing up the yard." I could sense her skepticism, but I had to stick to my story. I needed the neighbors to trust me, and I couldn't let anyone find out my bigger plans just yet. As the hedges grew, so did my sense of dread. The wall was coming together beautifully, but my neighbors began gathering in groups more frequently, whispering amongst themselves. I overheard murmurs about how I might be destroying the neighborhood. A wave of anxiety washed over me. Were they turning against me? That night, I lay awake, envisioning the worst-case scenario, a mass rebellion against my wall. I needed to reassure everyone of my intentions and revive their excitement. So I organized a second gathering. I called it the Hedge and Wall Party. The night came, and I greeted everyone with enthusiasm, but a little voice in my head told me they were still wary. As I unveiled my plans for the mural, I caught Linda rolling her eyes. "It's just a wall," she said dismissively. "You'll only make things worse." My stomach churned. I needed a breakthrough to win them over, but the doubt from my neighbors gnawed at my confidence. Determined not to back down, I pressed on. I enlisted local artists to sketch ideas for the mural, hoping the beauty of it would change minds. The next day, I was inspired as a group of them showed up, paint and creativity in hand. I watched as vibrant colors began to fill the blank canvas of my wall. I could feel the excitement start to bubble, drawing curious neighbors nearer. But then, I spotted Mr. Thompson watching from a distance, arms crossed tightly over his chest. My heart raced. Would he come to shut us down before I could even finish? News of the mural spread through town like wildfire. People wanted to come see it, and my neighbors began to join in the fun. As I painted alongside the artists, laughter filled the air, and the community felt alive. But just as we were about to wrap up for the day, the HOA sent a threatening letter to my house. I felt all the joy seep from me, replaced by panic. Would they really come after us for a mural? In a moment of vulnerability, I shared the threat with my neighbors. The atmosphere shifted. Voices echoed with encouragement and anger against the HOA. "We won't let them bully us," one neighbor shouted. Fueled by solidarity, we decided to organize a peaceful protest outside the HOA headquarters. I felt a rush of hope. This wall was no longer just my fight. It had become a battle for everyone's rights. As we prepared for the protest, momentum grew throughout the community. The night before, I lay awake, my mind racing with anticipation and anxiety. What if no one shows up? I worried. I tossed and turned until dawn arrived, filled with uncertainty. But as we gathered the next morning, I was amazed. The turnout was greater than I had ever expected. Neighbors held brightly colored signs, shouting, "Let us build." My heart swelled with pride and fear. This was it. I was ready to face the HOA head-on. The protest was alive with energy. Finally, a representative from the HOA arrived, looking bewildered by the sheer number of us gathered. As always, Mr. Thompson stepped forward, but this time I felt defiant. "Our voices matter," I shouted, bold and clear. "We are here to demand change." Some neighbors spoke up too, sharing their stories of unfair restrictions. Felt powerful. But just as it was heating up, he threatened us with fines and legal action, sending shivers down my spine. Would we really be forced to back down? But instead of giving in, I stood my ground. This is not just a wall. It's about our community and our rights. The crowd erupted with cheers. Little did I know, this moment would catch the attention of local media. Cameras appeared, capturing our fight. Voices were rising. What started as my quest for privacy transformed into something bigger, a challenge against authoritarian control and a chance for unity among neighbors. I caught a glimpse of hope amid the chaos. Would we actually make a difference? The city council meeting began, and my heart pounded as I stood before them, presenting my case against the HOA. I passionately spoke about community autonomy and our right to express ourselves, fueled by the wall's mural. But as I looked around, I noticed some council members visibly uninterested, while the HOA lawyers sneered at me from the back. "This is nonsense," one councilman said dismissively. "The rules are in place for a reason." I felt my resolve falter, but I pushed back. "It's more than a fence. It's about our ability to be heard." I needed to rally everyone behind me. Just as I thought I was breaking through, the HOA's attorney stood up with a stack of documents. "This wall threatens property values," he proclaimed, waving the papers like a trophy. My spirits sank, and I could see doubt creeping into the faces of my supporters. I knew I had to counter his argument, but the stakes felt higher than ever. "This wall is not just my dream," I interjected. "It's about creating a communal gathering space." I watched nervously as murmurs spread through the crowd. Would this be enough? After what felt like an eternity, the council decided to take a vote on our proposal to keep the wall. I could barely breathe as I waited for the results. "This is an embarrassment to the community," one member announced, and my heart sank as they voted against us. But then someone spoke up. "We need more freedom. Let them have their wall." A wave of hope surged through me, and I couldn't believe what was happening. I felt empowered by this unexpected support. But could I keep the momentum going? Determined to create change, I decided to leverage the media attention we had gained. I organized a press conference, sharing our story with the local news and highlighting our community's efforts for a voice against the HOA. The day arrived, and I stood at the podium, looking out at a sea of cameras and reporters. My hands trembled, but as I spoke passionately, I saw more neighbors rallying behind me, inspired by my message of resistance. The turnout was huge, and I sensed I was reaching hearts and minds. But would the HOA retaliate? The increasing push against the HOA fueled tension in our community, and it wasn't long before repercussions emerged. I opened my mailbox one morning to find another letter, thick and foreboding, this time threatening us with fines and legal action for our protests. My stomach dropped. Doubt began to creep into my mind again. Did we take it too far? I wondered, feeling the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. I called an emergency meeting, urging neighbors to come and discuss our options before fear could silence us. At the emergency meeting, anxiety hung thick in the air as we gathered. Some neighbors were ready to fight back, while others were terrified of consequences. "We can't let them intimidate us," I urged, but I could see fear in their eyes. "What if they fine us or worse?" someone complained. The divide was palpable, and I needed to bridge the gap if I wanted us to stand united. I suggested we write a formal response together, addressing their threats head-on as a community. Slowly, I saw faces shifting from fear to determination. As we drafted our response, my neighbors shared their own stories of the HOA's control, creating an atmosphere of solidarity. Together, we crafted a powerful letter illustrating our commitment to community rights. The energy of empowerment surged through the room. The more we talked, the bolder we became. Just when I thought we had unified, Another neighbor expressed doubts. But what if they dismiss us? A wave of tension rippled through our group as we faced the reality of the HOA's power. I reminded everyone that this letter represented not just our voices but our heart as a community. With our letter finalized, I felt a rush of elation and fear. It was a bold stand, but I knew the HOA wouldn't take it lightly. I could sense the stakes rising. We delivered the letter and awaited their response, anxiety buzzing through our community. Days turned into weeks, but then came an unexpected email. It was a cease and desist order. My heart sank as I read their ultimatum. I had anticipated pushback, but this felt daunting. I gathered everyone for yet another meeting, the air thick with concern. "What's our next move?" I asked, looking into the eyes of my neighbors. Instead of backing down, I rallied my supporters. "They see us as a threat, and that means we're doing something right," I exclaimed. I could feel the room's energy shift as I spoke. "Let's escalate this. Bring in more support." Overwhelmed by the urgency, a neighbor suggested rallying activists and local leaders, spreading our message even further. "Let's make our voices heard outside of our community." The excitement was palpable. I knew we represented something powerful, but could we topple the HOA's long-standing authority? As the movement gained momentum, we organized a town hall forum to share our grievances publicly. I couldn't believe the turnout. Neighbors and community members filled the room, eager to voice their frustration. I stood on stage, feeling both nervous and thrilled. As I addressed the crowd, I could see the fire in their eyes. More neighbors shared their tales of HOA oppression, each story weaving a stronger fabric of solidarity. But just as the room roared with excitement, I spotted Mr. Thompson sneaking in with his sidekicks. My stomach twisted. Would he defuse our energy or reinforce our resolve? Mr. Thompson eventually took the floor, and his smug confidence grated on my nerves. "These complaints are unfounded. We're merely upholding community standards," he announced. But the crowd's murmurs turned to shouts. "What standards?" someone yelled. "We want our voices heard." I felt a wave of hope as I watched my neighbors rally against him. His dismissal only fueled our anger and camaraderie. As he grudgingly wrapped up, I realized we were asserting our power as a united front. Little did I know just how impactful our stand would become, shaping not just our neighborhood but future fights for community rights everywhere. As we stood united against the HOA, one thing became clear: change starts when we refuse to be silenced. So, what will you fight for in your community? Remember, together we can turn walls into bridges of empowerment. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's inspire each other.